Ocala.
All right, 6 minutes after 11 o'clock. That is the new theme song for this show called Legal Lane. Vanessa Lane Jennings is in the studio. She is an attorney focusing on criminal law, but she'll answer any questions about the law. If you want to call in and ask Vanessa a question during the course of this show, your phone number to call is 622-9622, as with all of the shows we do locally here in WOCA. Good morning, Vanessa. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Good morning to you both.
Do you like the new music Dan put together for you?
I love the new music. He is very talented.
That's very good. Well, thank you for coming in. We've got a lot of things in common. Obviously, you're very, very much involved with the city.
I am. I am involved with the Marion Cultural Alliance. I'm also involved with Friday Art Walk. And I believe you saw me last weekend.
We did. Well, we weren't sure until just now when we asked you. I wasn't sure if I had seen you or not. And you weren't sure if you saw us or not.
That's right. But we did see each other.
You didn't know we were the two goofy people that play the instruments that are out of style.
Absolutely not. Y'all are amazing. I've seen you in the past.
So in your world, how do you want to, we were thinking about it after you were here last time, how do you work with people who have serious issues and then lighten up at the end of the day? Are you able to do that?
I just think that's my personality. Work is work and play is play, and I do not mix the two together, or I try not to.
Right.
And so when you're at work, it's serious. I mean, that's their life, and their life is on the line, especially in criminal. And in family, it's their entire family's life is on the line. It's them, it's their family.
Yeah.
And then when they're coming to you for other issues where, it's either wills or some other thing that's a catastrophe in their world that's going to be happening, because no one goes to see a lawyer on their best day. They normally go on their worst day. So you enter into that mood. But I think it's because also I grew up in an environment, my parents owned funeral homes. Oh. So I kind of grew up where the work is serious. And then when you go home, it's a totally different life.
Yeah, I knew a young lady who's also was growing up in a funeral home, and they were as fun as could be, the family. Oh wow, that's an interesting background for you.
You have to have a sense of humor in that line of work. So I think it just has carried over into my life now.
Do you know what we were talking about earlier? We were talking about how Bob Kennedy was here from Berkshire Hathaway Home Team Realty, and we were talking about because today Robin and I are going to play at an assisted living facility, and we told him, he said, "Oh, that is such a great business," and I said, "Except for that, you've got to be subjected to libel. I'm not liable. What am I thinking? Legal action all the time.
Liability.
Liability. Thank you. Anytime something goes wrong, so how do you protect yourself from that kind of thing? How does the average person protect himself from being sued?"
Well, I mean, it depends what you're trying to protect yourself from. I mean, if you're trying to protect yourself and you know what exactly you're getting into, that's when you can create a contract with the other person to reduce the amount of liability. Like when people jump out of airplanes or when they do other extreme sports, they normally sign liability waivers and releases.
Okay, right.
So there's actual contracts that can reduce the amount, you know you're going to be entering a dangerous activity, or you're going into this type of environment, so you can do waivers. If you're in a profession that just has it, that's when you just have really good liability insurance.
So there's a thing with us in the news that I wanted to ask you about.
Okay.
Because when we get a news story, we're supposed to say allegedly.
Allegedly, absolutely.
And that gets us off the hook. If a police report comes in and says, John Doe broke into Mrs. Smith's house.
Allegedly.
Then and if we don't say allegedly, then what could happen to us? Could that guy come back to us and say, "Look, I didn't do that, and you said I did"?
Theoretically, yes, because he would be coming after you for a defamation case. Whether or not it would actually make it all the way through, because if you're purporting it as the news and you missed a word, you would have an argument, you'd have a defense. But for the most part, it is allegedly. Because my clients do not do anything. They allegedly do stuff.
Are we all in that same boat when it comes to like Facebook and social media? Are we all held to that same standard? Do we all have to say, like, if somebody says, she broke into my house, can you sue her if you didn't, I didn't break into anybody's house?
You can.
Yeah.
I've had clients who've come in because of things that were posted on Facebook for cease and desist letters.
Oh, really?
Please cease and desist doing what you're doing because you're defaming me right now. And at that point in time, you send it out, and if they don't stop, you theoretically have an action because they published it. It was a false statement, as long as it's not a true statement that you really didn't break in their house. It was false. They published it, and they intended for it to go on social media, and when you type it in, you intend for that to happen, they are defaming you. Now, what your damages are, that's a totally different thing. How are you actually harmed? Because that's also an element. So you have the first parts, but how are you actually harmed? Is always the question. Some people, though, have lost their jobs. Some people, and that's an actual economic harm that you can pinpoint and say, but for this post, I would have a job.
Oh, okay.
So, or some people have, had other things that have happened to them that were non-economic in nature, but actually just as effective. Like people have been asked not to go to certain organizations or be involved in certain organizations, which down the road affected their business. So
do people have huge expectations about getting a huge sum of money when they go in to sue something? Because you see these billboards all over town, somebody's got $750,000, and it just doesn't seem realistic to me.
On those, when I drive by them, I say that person was very hurt and someone had the right coverage. That's what because that's not your everyday incident. Because if the person doesn't have a policy, like for the ones that you see for personal injury, because that's the new ones that you're seeing we've got $400,000, $2 million.
Right.
It was either a trucking accident for the really big ones, and they have trucking companies are protected, so they have tons of insurance pocket money to go after, or you're dealing with a situation where the person themselves had uninsured motorist coverage, which would help, plus whoever hit them also had a proper policy. But if you hit someone who just has the minimum, and they don't have the money themselves, there's no way that you would be getting the $400,000 because there's nowhere to get it from.
Yeah,
and that would make sense. The phone lines are open. If you have a question for Vanessa, this is a good time to call. Just let me point out that Vanessa's normal time slot will be, what is it, 10:35?
I believe it's 10:35.
10:35. Okay. Today it's a little different because this is the second show, and we had to move people around a little bit, but starting next week it'll be regularly every Friday, right?
That's correct.
So if you have a question during the course of the show, now of course the real recommendation is if you really need legal assistance, go see Vanessa in person.
That's right.
So where are you? Where's your office?
My office is located right across from Muni Golf Course on the side road, which is Northeast 3rd Street. So it's 2945 Northeast 3rd Street.
Northeast 3rd Street, okay. And are you on the second floor?
We are on the second floor.
Okay, got it.
Now, we see that you're a member of the Florida Association of Women Lawyers.
That's correct.
What is the difference between being a member of women lawyers as opposed to being a member of just lawyers?
It's an organization, and we focus in on rights and laws that come down that pertain to women or areas that need more focus. And that's going to be domestic violence issues. That's going to be sometimes parenting issues, wills, trusts, and estates, just different areas where we think there's a weakness. And that's the global organization because there's a whole Florida chapter. The Marion County chapter focuses more on the local issues. And last year I was president, but this year we're just a member.
I'm just curious if I could just kind of be a fly on the wall in your case. When you're working with family law, there's people getting divorced, let's say, and you're working with them closely.
Yes.
Then you're sitting with the judge who is looking at paperwork for the first time. Are you basically guiding the judge so he makes the decision that is best? Do you know what I mean? Because you've worked with them so much, and the judge doesn't have much time to really look at all this stuff. Or am I wrong about that?
Well, the family's personal life isn't in the paper. Some of it is. Some of it, especially if it's motions and specific hearings that you're going for, you will put some of the facts in there, and you'll put a lot of the facts in there. But the actual texture of it, the emotion, that comes through with crafting your questions and guiding your client as they speak and as they give the testimony, and getting it out through the testimony so that the judge sees firsthand the rawness of the emotion, especially if it's a father who can't see his child. And that creates a very true and raw emotion, and that's what you want to come out, that this other person that we're saying, in this case, that I'm giving the mother, is keeping the child, and it's causing this detriment not only to the father, but if you look at the broader strokes, it affects the child as well. And it's not in the best interest of the child. And that's the Florida standard, is what's in the best interest of the child.
And do they normally lean in the direction of the money? Like the person who has the money, and the reason this question comes up is because David Bowie died the other day,
Okay.
and I was watching this piece on him, and apparently at one time he was married to a lady named Angie, not the lady he was married to when he died, and they had a child, and the judge just said, "Okay, you get the custody to David Bowie." Now I don't know anything about these two people, but I thought, I'm not sad that he got him. That's wonderful, but it's sad that the mother never got to see the baby anymore, the child. I just thought, why can't there be a shared thing? And
I would say in most cases, especially now in Marion County and the entire state of Florida, because I do practice outside of Marion County, there is a trend towards 50-50. That is the trend now. Back previously, before 2010, the trend was more 70-30, 70% with the mom, 30% with the dad.
The mom.
Yeah.
And that was the past trend. We're going away from that, and we're going more into both parents have the equal ability. Do they look at the money? Not so much. The money comes in when they're figuring out child support, not necessarily when you're figuring out who the child lives with full time. Unless, of course, it's a situation where there's no home or there's no stability in the home. And then, yes, money is an underlying cause, but they're looking at the bigger picture of there's no stability. And what's the best interest of the child is stability.
Okay, let's take a little break. Vanessa Lane Jennings is in the studio. Her show is called Legal Lane, and if you have a question for Vanessa during the course of this show, right now you can call in. I'll put you on hold for about 2 minutes, and when we come back, you can ask your question. The number is 622-9622. If you want to call Vanessa at her office, it's 804
0092.
804-0092. We'll be right back.
Weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. On this Friday, a rather cloudy, breezy, warm, or humid day. Periods of rain and a thunderstorm into the early afternoon hours, tapering to a shower late. Some of the thunderstorms may produce gusty winds, the high 72 to 76. Clearing Friday night, low 53 to 57. Saturday, sunshine, so clouds, cooler and less humid, the high in the low 70s. Sunday, cloudy with a chance of rain and a thunderstorm in the morning, highs in the 60s. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Joe Lundberg.
Ooh, ouch. Does pain have you glued to the couch? Yes, unfortunately it's true that every year we must get older, but that doesn't mean we have to deal with pain in our back, knees, or shoulder. If your muscles and joints are sore, don't worry anymore. Come get acupuncture from me and you'll be pain-free. Acupuncture starts as low as $35 at a Better You Healthcare. Call me, Dr. Erica Olstein, at 615-5566. Stop your pain from driving you insane.
Career Source Citrus Levy Marion brings together business and community partners, economic development leaders, and educational providers to connect employers with qualified, skilled talent and job seekers with employment and career development opportunities. Tune in the first and third Wednesday of each month at 9:30 a.m. to Career Source Citrus Levy Marion and learn how they can help you.
That was the sound of a tree falling. It could be your tree. You're going to have it trimmed, but never got around to calling Pride Tree Service. It could have fallen in a field, and now all you have to do is call Pride Tree Service, and they'll have it quickly out of the way for a great price. But don't wait until the tree falls. It may not fall in the field. It may hit your car, your house, or worse. So call Pride Tree Service today and avoid all those headaches before they happen. Pride Tree Service, 840-0750. That's 840-0750.
Located next door to Silver Spring State Park and a few minutes from historic downtown Ocala, our award-winning Holiday Inn Express Hotel and Suites of Silver Springs is a place to stay for a friendly, memorable, and fun experience. Enjoy our fast and free Wi-Fi, complimentary hot breakfast, and free parking. Whether you're in town for work or play, our friendly staff will make you feel right at home. That's the Holiday Inn Express and Suites of Silver Springs, proud sponsor of Friday night Marion County High School football on WOCA, The Source.
Located in Ocala, Rinstar Medical Research has offered a wide range of clinical research trials for 17 years. Rinstar conducts clinical trials for conditions such as migraines, memory decline, fibromyalgia, and sun-damaged skin. To learn more, call Rinstar at 352-629-5800. Help us create a healthier tomorrow by volunteering today. Please call Rinstar at 352-629-5800.
21 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this rainy Friday. Tomorrow's supposed to be nice weather, by the way, and then Sunday's supposed to rain again. So tomorrow's the day to do stuff. And then after Sunday is when it gets cold, right? So it's not going to be cold tomorrow. It's not going to be rainy tomorrow. It's just going to be nice. This is the segment called Legal Lane. Vanessa Lane Jennings is your host, and she's here as she is an attorney. We've mentioned she focuses on criminal law. Obviously, family law is a big part of what you do as well. You mentioned something during the break that I wanted you to repeat. Do you call that a living will when two people are? Explain what that was.
We were talking about nominations of guardianship.
Okay.
What happens when there's a family and both parents, let's say, are going out on date night, and unfortunately there's a car accident. No one passes, so the will, the trust, or none of the other safeguards that most families think about that are put in place, none of them would kick in because
nobody's dead.
No one's passed away. Exactly. So what happens with the children? And that was the question that we were talking about. And there's what's called nominations of guardianships, and it's something that my firm does. And we call them the Kids Protection Plan, because you need to protect the kids. They're our number one asset. So what we do is we have a family sit down and think of locally who are the people that you want should something happen to you personally, if you're single and they're, either the mother or the father is not in the picture at all, or if you're a parent who's married but your spouse is in the military, or if you're married and they go out on business trips frequently and something happens to you. Who do you want to watch your children? Who do you want to have responsibility until you're able to step back in and take care of them? And normally that people think of the grandparents or cousins and sisters, brothers, and those people are great, but sometimes they go out of town too, or they're going on vacation, or they have something where they can't come right that second. So we normally have them list out 4 or 5 different people and keep it in a safe space where everybody knows. Give it to the babysitter. We create what are called babysitter packages. So you hand it to your babysitter, which has not only your nomination of guardianship, but it also has a list of all contact numbers, how to reach, every single person on that list. So if something does happen, the babysitter knows. Your mom, even if it's your parent, your mom's watching the kid.
Wow.
They know, because sometimes now that we have cell phones, no one remembers numbers anymore, and they can't think of them at the top of their head.
Right.
So it's just one of those things that's handy. You have it there. It's laminated. You can easily hand it over to whoever you need to hand it to, and you're protected. Your child's protected. And your wishes will be fulfilled.
Wow,
Vanessa,
how wonderful.
You have a phone call. Let's take that call. Good morning. You're on the air with Vanessa Lane Jennings.
Yes, good morning. With the lottery being big in the news here just recently, a question I would have is, if you had a group of people that got together and they were all going to buy tickets together as a group, and they all agreed verbally that if they did win the lottery, a certain percent would go to a certain organization. If they did win the lottery and all of a sudden, after winning it, one of the persons in the group decided, no, I don't want to give any of my money away, would they be legally liable on a verbal agreement to do what they originally said?
Well, you're saying a lottery pool. He's a member of the lottery pool, and all of a sudden he decides he no longer wants to give it to whatever organization. Absolutely. The other members, if they still want to give the money to that organization, if they agree that, okay, no, we all want to keep the money, we don't want to give it out, then that's fine. But if all the other members say, no, we still want to give it to this organization, they can sue you to give your portion to that organization if you don't, because a verbal contract in this case is still a contract. There's certain circumstances where you can't have verbal contracts, but in this case you would be able to have one, and they could go to court, and if they're able to prove that a contract actually did exist, and they prove all the elements to that case, then they could be successful making you give that portion away.
Could you get a written verbal? Could you get a written an agreement, and would that be liable?
If you did it in writing, that would be even a stronger case for the other members if everything was written down.
It probably would be advisable to get a lawyer maybe involved, right?
If that was the case, absolutely.
That's what I would do. Thank you, Hugh.
Okay, thank you.
Vanessa, did you buy the Powerball ticket? Did you buy one?
My sister and I both bought one, yes. It was the first time ever in my entire life.
Really?
I said, why not?
Really?
We got one number between the both of us.
Isn't that something? And one of the tickets was sold here in Florida, so.
In Melbourne.
It was not us.
When a person is creating a business, no matter how small or how large, is it a good idea for them to hire an attorney to keep them on retainer?
Yes and no. I would say if it's very, very small, probably not. But I would say for keeping them on retainer, I always suggest that they go and talk to someone. Just because there's always little things that people don't think about, especially if they're going into a family business. You always presume that you and your family member are going to get along. That doesn't always happen. Disagreements happens, sometimes want to diverge, and you need to think of those things. Today we're getting along, but what happens if we don't? And there needs to be contracts in place, there needs to be written partnership agreements or corporate agreements. People don't necessarily know how to set up corporate minutes, and when they're making decisions and they've set up an actual corporation, per statute, there's certain things that need to happen. And if they don't happen, then technically the other party can come after them. So if they go to an attorney, because they probably don't know, they probably didn't know they were supposed to take that step either. But so what I do is I kind of sit down with people and I walk them through, this is what you need to do, and create, a startup kit for them, and then send them off. And they normally come, and I, make sure that if you have a question, come back. But if it's going to be a mid-sized company that's going to be dealing with contracts a lot, those are the ones that I say you probably want to keep someone on retainer if you're going to be writing a lot of contracts.
Oh, okay.
When we buy auto insurance, we kind of understand that if we're in an accident, that auto insurance is going to pay an attorney if we need one. Usually that's the way it works, right?
Well, the insurance company themselves have their own attorneys, but if you're at fault, you would then need to go get your attorney.
Okay. So my insurance doesn't pay for that then?
Your insurance pays for, they have their own in-house counsel, like State Farm, Allstate, they all have in-house counsel that they step in and they protect the insurance company. If they're going to ever go above and beyond and sue you personally above any insurance monies, then I always suggest that person has their own attorney.
So how do we pay the average person for attorney's fees? Is there such a thing? And I feel like there was that prepaid legal. Is that stuff real or is that advisable?
That, two separate questions. Yes, it is real. And I do not prefer them, but that's just my preference. I have come across them when my firm has tried to sue people, they've had the prepaid legal services. And it's very formalistic, is what I found. They'll send you form letters back, and things never really progressed. There was always...
Oh, wow.
They were just very stagnant. So I don't like working with them as an attorney, and I don't think I would ever personally use one, but I'm not saying that they're all like that. Those are just the ones that I've come across.
Vanessa, we're almost out of time. We've got about 40 seconds left. Can I ask you to give your contact information, please?
Absolutely. It's the Jennings Law Firm. We're located at 2945 Northeast 3rd Street. We're on the second floor. Our phone number is area code 352-804-0092. Or you can email me at lane@jenningslaw.net.
And if you've enjoyed this show and you want to share it with somebody, we do make this available as a video on the Facebook page as well as the WOCA YouTube channel. And Vanessa gets a copy too, so you might have it on your site as well. Vanessa, thank you. Always good to see you. We'll be right back. Stay dry.
Fox Fox News Radio, I'm Millian Wu. Not a lot of Southern hospitality in evidence last night as GOP presidential candidates went face-to-face in South Carolina in the Fox Business Network debate.
Some of the sharp